Hey y'all, it's your legal bestie attorney Simone. Make sure you guys can hear me. It's your legal bestie attorney Simone, and I am so sorry. I have been away for far too long, but I am so happy to be back, y'all. So much, so much. Uh-oh, I'm getting blurry. What's going on? So much has been going on. I should be connected, hold on, via the Ethernet. Let me just make sure. I should be. Let me know if you can see me okay now. Let me know where you're watching from in the chat. Hey, y'all. Okay, I think I should be. I think that should have cleared up now. So much has happened. So we're going to do a little intro. We're going to do a quick little intro recap. We're not going to make this Charlie Kirk heavy. That's just a lot. But I did want to show what I have behind me here in the virtual background. I'm super blurry. Okay, it should catch up. Just give me a second. Let's see. It should clear up in just a second. Let's see. Oh, I think that it is. All right, let's see. Yeah, my Wi-Fi should be connected. Hold on. Sorry, guys. Let me just triple check. Yep. That's connected. Yeah. Okay, sorry about that. I hope it gets better. Let me look at it from my phone to see if it's any better. But yes, so much has happened. We didn't want to make this too Charlie Kirk heavy because so much has been going on. But we got to talk about the freedom of speech, right? So just yesterday, I posted on my Instagram as well as on here. I'm checking YouTube to just see how blurry I might be, guys. And just the other day, Jimmy Kimmel was removed from the air because the president wanted him to be. The president has been sick of him for a while. He finds him not funny. He doesn't like that Jimmy makes jokes about him. And in the end, the FCC threatened the parent companies.
Because they have like this little area, like a little shopping area.
That's really be. I guess she's on now too. But basically, the parent companies for the Jimmy Kimmel Show, which is Disney, and underneath it is ABC, they were threatened that their merger would not be able to go through if they didn't remove Kimmel from the air. So they did. So many people are frightened by this because that is literally what the FCC is not supposed to do. They are only supposed to be concerned with things like cussing on the air or, nudity, those types of things. But they're not supposed to take off a comedy show because he's talking about the president. So initially, Jimmy Kimmel Show pissed off the president for making jokes about Trump. But then on the particular night, he made commentary about Charlie Kirk's death, which interestingly, it was actually about the president. And it was about the fact that the president went off golfing instead of attending a vigil in his so-called friend's honor. If that's your friend, the assumption was that should not have done it. Sorry, I am so sorry that it's still blurry. Let me just double check here and see if I can. I'm supposed to be on the Ethernet, so let's see. Let me get this right. It is. Oh gosh. All right, let me see. Let me see if I can make this adjustment. Oh, I think I know what I need to do. Hold on. 1 second. Let me adjust. Hold on. I think it is this here. Y'all, I'm so sorry. Okay, then this, I don't know if this will help. Let's see. It might. We're going to see. But I think it's the Wi-Fi. It's supposed to be on Ethernet. So let me just see. So anyway, Sasha said it. She said, I hope Jimmy Kimmel sues them because I'm sure he's still under contract. So here's the thing. In the end, it is the network feels like it is cheaper for them to take off Jimmy Kimmel than to lose the merger. The merger is the big deal because here's how it works. Anytime any two companies are seeking to merge, they have to have the permission of the FCC because the goal of the FCC, their purpose is to prevent, it's to prevent monopolies. And honestly, I don't know that this merger should go through due to the fact that what's going to happen is Sinclair Media, which we now know is super, super conservative, it owns a lot of basically local TV stations, and they want to merge with a company called Nexstar. So in other words, the conservative media will this TV stations that have the major networks like ABC and so forth like that, and have their shows, will basically be combined together and under the control of the extremely conservative Sinclair Media. That's huge. So Sinclair and Next are merging together. So in other words, it benefits conservatives extremely, because it means that they're going to be able to censor the shows. Well, we've seen that already. I want to show you. Here we go. Share it here. It's a little bit better. Let me get this off YouTube. So what's going on now is, as you see here, let me see. It should have shared. It should have shared there. Let me add this. So after Jimmy Kimmel, here we go. We got The View. Here on The View, they weren't even allowed to talk about it. The View is literally, the whole purpose of the show is to talk about viewpoints on different controversial issues. And The View, quote, had no view on Jimmy Kimmel's show being pulled from ABC. Well, what's interesting is the reason for pulling and the reason for censoring was the content of Jimmy Kimmel's jokes and his speech. Now, this was not like the guy on Fox who literally said that homeless people with mental illness should be legally injected, that they should just be done away with. It wasn't like that. It was, I can't play it here because of copyright, but it was relative. Like I said, it was more so a joke about the president, not about Charlie. It wasn't celebrating his passing. It wasn't any of that. So here we are. I want to show you real quickly. This is a short clip from a reel that I've done, just breaking down the freedom of speech, because right now they're doing more than ever. Right now, when I say they, I mean conservatives, to monitor or to restrict the content of people's speech. Now, let's be really clear. In America, there is no such thing as hate speech. None. That's how the KKK is able to exist. If there was such a thing as hate speech, literally, the KKK would be illegal. But the US Constitution, under free speech, it says you cannot dictate the content of someone's speech, so long as there's three exceptions. There's one, threat. You can't threaten somebody. That's why that's a crime. Number two, it can't be incitement to imminent violence. That's why some entities looked into actually prosecuting Trump for September, for the January 6th incident, because you can't, for example, you can't call a rally. So like the KKK can't have a rally and say, go hurt all the blacks. They cannot do that for the reason that you can't incite people to violence. You absolutely cannot. Here we go. Make sure this is connected. All right. So the part of the issue, and then the third one is that you cannot do harassment that rises to the level of crime, right? So that's like people stalking you, calling you on the phone, saying like various things that rise to the level of harassment. Aside from that, it's free game. So here's a quick clip that I just want you to look at this to just see the tone. This is the law, yet and still the president says, nope, he wants to remove more people from the air. And he is actually seeking to go after more shows and more people from the air. And actually, The View was up next. The View was literally listed as next on the list. So let me show you this. Play this clip real quickly.
There's free speech, and then there's hate speech. We will absolutely target you, go after you, if you are targeting anyone with hate speech.
Now, Pam, you know better. In the U.S., there is no such crime as hate speech. I'm your legal bestie, Attorney Simone, the host of YouTube's Girl, Is That Legal? And this ain't legal. Here's why. The Supreme Court has said over and over again that speech can only be punished if it crosses three very narrow lines: true threats, incitement to imminent violence, and harassment that rises to the level of a crime. So if you're just saying something hateful, offensive, disrespectful, that's actually protected free speech. For example, in 2006, Pastor Fred Snyder of Westboro Baptist Church preached that God punishes the U.S. for its tolerance of homosexuality, particularly in the military. So to demonstrate their beliefs, the pastor and congregation often picketed military funerals, not just funerals of gay soldiers, any soldier. The pastor and the congregation showed up to the funeral of Marine Lance Corporal Matthew Snyder, who died in Iraq in the line of duty, and they showed up with signs that said, "Thank God for dead soldiers." So the soldier's father, Albert Snyder, said it caused him emotional distress and sued the church. A jury awarded him $11 million, but the U.S. Supreme Court voted 8-1 and overruled the verdict, saying, as cruel as those signs were, hate speech is protected free speech. What's worse, because the church won, the father actually had to pay their legal fees. Charlie advocated to protect free speech. And as
y'all, that's the part that drove me the craziest. Okay, it's one thing that it got overturned by the Supreme Court, but the fact that the father had to then pay this evil church's legal fees, it was 6 years of litigation. It happened in 2006, and it was 2011 when the Supreme Court made that ruling. So that was 5 years of litigation that the father is now responsible for paying to the church.
a result of those protections, you cannot be prosecuted in America simply for talking negatively or even celebrating death. Free speech means free speech, even for speech we hate. Follow me and subscribe on YouTube at Girl Is That Legal.
Y'all, I just couldn't believe that our attorney general is so unaware of the law, so goofy, so all of the things that she literally sat up there and said, we will prosecute hate speech. You cannot do that. Hate speech is not a crime. Hate speech is a thing. But let me be very clear. While hate speech is protected under the First Amendment, meaning you can't go to jail for it and you can't be sued for it, you can be fired from your job for it. So those two things are distinctly different. So you can lose a job for what you say. And that's largely because of the fact that most jobs are what's called work at will, meaning they can fire you for no reason or any reason. They could fire you because you wore yellow shoes that day and your boss thinks yellow is ugly. They can fire you because your breath stinks. They can fire you for as long as whatever that rationale is equally applied to other similarly situated people. So if other people have on the same exact pair of ugly yellow shoes, they would have to be fired as well. As one potential example, then they can fire you. So that's how come it's such a gray area. I've had so many calls from people who are dealing with their job as a result of comments regarding Charlie Kirk. And the craziest part of this is this man is so revered, but yet if you quote him, you get fired. So there was an African-American woman who worked for the Washington Post, quoted him and got fired. And so the concern is, but if he's such a great man, so reverent, then why is quoting him a fireable offense? And in conclusion, I just want to say real quickly, this is the intro, guys, and then we're going to get into the other topics on the docket, which is this. In conclusion, today, unanimously, all Senate Democrats, and I believe there's 48 of them, because obviously, or 47, because we don't have the majority, all Senate Democrats voted to create a day of remembrance for Charlie Kirk today. All 27. And I just want to clarify. It was a really awkward position that the Dems were in. So in the Senate, all the Democrats agreed. However, in the House, some just voted present, as in I'm here attending the vote. Some voted nay, and then some voted in favor. They had the votes to make it pass regardless, without Democrats. But the rationale, and I'll do a separate video so I can I'll actually put up the entire resolution so you can see it and you can read it. I'm going to get too pissed off here. But the rationale was Democrats were concerned that it looked like they were not condoning violence. And my thought was that's BS, because you could have proposed alternative language or alternative something, but to have a day of remembrance, what is it you'd like us to remember specifically? How he said that, based on affirmative action only, that Ketanji Jackson, the Supreme Court justice, is there only because of that. And this is coming from a guy, let's be clear, he was a community college dropout. He has no degree whatsoever. So people have been very disappointed in the Democrats for that. But before I go into that, I'm not going to go into that in this video. I'm going to do a separate one because I think it's important that you read the entire language of the resolution before you decide whether or not the Dems were wrong for how they handle that. And what is up with this? Hold on. I'm still trying to see if I can get this to be less foggy. I apologize profusely. Hold on, let me see. Y'all know I'm in New York, my little Harlem apartment. And this driving me, this Wi-Fi is just the worst. Here we go. It's supposed to be on Ethernet too. Hold on one second. Let me just double check. I feel like Kendra G. Here we are. That's connected. This is connected. And that's connected. All right. Sorry. Yep. It's all supposed to be here. Allegedly. All right. Let's move right along. It's supposed to be connected, huh? Ethernet. Yeah, it's supposed to be active. I don't know what's wrong with this. I'm so aggravated. I don't know what to do. Okay, I'll figure that out another day. Sorry, guys. This is terrible. All right, let's continue. It said at least you can hear me. Great, and that's the point. All right, so next up is AI, y'all. This story with AI, it threw me for a loop. Here we go. So this artist here, and I'm gonna just make it big since I'm foggy. Ain't no need to look at me anyway. Here we are. So this artist here, this is an artist named Zanya Monet. I'm probably mispronouncing it, but it's okay. Zanya Monet is an AI artist that just signed a $3 million deal. And this should have the world in the utmost concerns about AI. So of course, you know, AI means artificial intelligence. And effectively, what went on here, let me make this larger. What went on here is Zanya Monet isn't actually a real person. She is created by the artist. So the artist is actually a woman named like Tanisha Jones or something like that. She is from Mississippi. And in Mississippi, she's just a songwriter. She only writes songs. She doesn't do anything else. She just writes songs. She can't sing. She can't sing at all. So that's why some people are freaked out. They're like, wait a minute. You're getting a $3 million deal. You can't sing. You're acknowledging you can't sing. And now artists who can sing are going to have to compete with these kinds of music deals. What in the holy hell? And I don't blame him either. So the article explains Zanya Monet is the project of a Mississippi-based design studio owner, a woman, who used an app called Suno to turn her lyrics into music. So in other words, she was a songwriter. And one label has offered her $3 million to sign. It says last week, a team of record label executives took a Zoom meeting with a little-known R&B artist releasing music under the name Zanya Monet. And here's the thing, people love her. They absolutely love her stuff. So a lot of people had no idea that she was AI. So that's part of it as well. They feel very freaked out by the concept. So there you are. So then it says, it quickly became clear this was no ordinary rising star when she joined the call without video, explaining, quote, she wasn't camera ready and declining to sing. Well, that's because the artist, who is a poet, real name is Talisha Jones, who goes by Nikki, has used AI to craft her image for this artist and use Suno to craft her music. Now we're going to talk about the legal issues and the legal concerns presented here. It says, given her use of Suno, which was sued for copyright infringement by major record companies last year, okay, as a result of that, then labels previously backed out. The major labels backed out or they abstained from making an offer because that lawsuit is still pending. And so what's going on is major labels are saying to use AI to create new music is copyright infringement. And that is because the way AI works is it uses other singers. It teaches the computer to take popular singers, their songs, their melodies, their voice inflections, all the attributes of their songs that people love, and then copy it. If that ain't copyright infringement, I don't know what it is. It's combine them and copy it. And so labels were like, oh, hell no, because the concern is that labels could be replaced or that artists that are signed to labels could be replaced with AI music. And therefore, none of those labels initially wanted to sign her. It says, however, there was an entertainment company that's independent. It was led by former Interscope exec Neil Jacobson, and he ultimately added her to its roster with a multi-million-dollar agreement. Zanya is the brainchild of 31-year-old Jones, who owns a design studio and lives in Olive Branch, Mississippi. She comes from humble beginnings and says her manager, someone named Ramel Murphy, is a veteran music marketing exec who has worked with gospel acts like Shanetta Jones and Kay Michelle, as well as other people. Okay. It says she's been writing poetry for a long time, Murphy tells Billboard, noting 90% of her lyrics are her own true stories. The other 10% are inspired by the stories of her friends in the community. What's making the songs catch is not a hook and a bridge with a catchy chant. It's just the lyrics, and they're pure. Now, to be clear, there is also, so many have said, well, there's also an element of colorism to this. More specifically, I have not confirmed which photos are her, so I'm not going to put the photo up. I don't want to put the wrong person up. But basically, she's, a normal-looking, average Mississippi girl that lives in Mississippi. She was not, I guess, visually, wouldn't be what a music label would necessarily put all their money behind to be, the next big thing. But they couldn't anyway because she doesn't sing at all. She does not sing. She uses Juno. But the reason she got all this buzz is because she's got millions and millions of online streams from the AI music. So it's clear that people love the music. And here's what was brilliant: to sign someone who also sings gospel. Why? Because those churchy people, they're like, oh, but Jesus did it. Oh, Jesus. A lot of times they don't think about the other overall ramifications for the music. I'm going to play a clip from Kalani. And this is Kalani basically going off and expressing her serious concerns over the issue. Here we are. Yeah.
There is an AI R&B artist who just signed a multi-million-dollar deal and has a top 5 R&B album, and the person is doing none of the work. I think you guys think that AI can just be the cover for something, which some people can use. They can make an AI cover. AI can also make the entire fucking song. It can sing the entire song. It can make the entire beat. You can have a song that's one type of song and say, AI, make this into a country song, and it'll literally rewrite, re-sing in a country voice and redo the entire thing. And they don't have to credit anyone. This is so beyond out of our control in the creative arts, in which people have worked hard for, trained for, slept on the floor for, fucking got injuries for, worked for their entire lives.
All right, so here's the thing, though. I want to be clear. There's a good comment there. It says, why can't they sign the actual lady versus the AI? Well, the understanding is they actually signed the woman. So the AI is literally like, it was created by the app. So they actually have signed the woman. So it appears that she is the person that will be receiving the $3 million. It says, she grew up singing in church. She claims full ownership of the songwriting and production credits. It says that she plans to work with additional human producers on her upcoming projects. And Murphy, who is working with her, says he's now fielding publishing deal offers. See, that's the thing. Songwriters could always get publishing deals. However, here in this instance, so what she's getting, so she is supposed to, it says the bidding reached $3 million to sign her, sources say, it says, and ultimately it is this young lady who's going to get the money. So in other words, it is a way for songwriters who are not otherwise, who can't sing, if you can create enough buzz around your AI meme, then you can do that. But what's also weird, so I wanted to be clear that it's she who's getting the money. So I don't know if that makes you feel like this is better or what, but she actually is saying she's preparing now for a tour. How is that going to work? Because a tour would be, what is it going to be? Is it going to be like when they had Tupac holograms? Is that what we're going to have? Is the tour going to have, because all the tour could be is a video being played of the person. And that's how people have gotten familiar with her music, right? It's been uploaded to streaming services as well as YouTube and stuff like that via the videos, the AI videos that were created. So it says, Bree says, why didn't she just be a songwriter? So that's the thing, because she's going to get songwriting credit too. But what the U.S., so the U.S. Department, the Copyright Division of the United States government, right? They are the ones that approve copyrights. And what they are now looking into is they're basically saying that they are investigating the standards that should be or will be applied to AI music. Because if the music, for example, this music they're claiming has the ability to be copyright protected because it is from an actual singer. However, if it had not been this woman's lyrics that were written and it was just the voices that were created as a combo, based on other celebrities, then there would be nothing copyright protectable and nothing unique. In other words, any artist that signed them, any label that signed them would never be able to make money, because the way you make money is you're able to say, hey, only people we license the music to can use it. If the music is not copyrightable, then that means you could literally just put it up on Instagram. Anyone could use it. A corporation could take the music and put it as, put it on a commercial without paying, etc. So it's just really interesting here how this all is also combining with copyright law. But I feel like the biggest issue that people are missing is, while it seems all fun and cool, right now to like, oh yeah, AI, different music, X, Y, and Z. But the problem is that what she is doing, she's literally training AI to replace her. So if right now she's writing the lyrics, guess what happens with AI? AI is now training itself to better understand lyrics that are catchy and lyrics that have large strings. And then they replicate this same songwriting, and they're going to do it without her. And then they will literally squeeze her out of that role. So many people are forgetting that the challenge with AI is right now, a lot of these jobs with AI, you are training AI to replace you. I have a bunch of friends at Google, and it is really freaky for them because Google, like all companies, is having a bunch of layoffs. But the people that seem to be able to survive those layoffs are in the AI training department, literally training AI to do things like use the tone of a Black woman. They have Black women in there, writers, etc., that train the system to use the tone of a Black woman or Hispanic woman or what have you. Hit that like, guys. Hit that like and hit the subscribe. And therefore, yes, AI is laying off a lot of people. But as you're doing your jobs, it's really important that you think to yourself, as you're training AI, am I training this to replace me? Because even myself as an influencer, right now, what's going on is YouTube is listening to the video. So they've actually sent out emails asking creators, hey, can we study your videos? And if so, basically we'll put more ads in it, which in turn could give us more revenue. If you say yes, what happens then is that they're listening to your videos so they can train AI to create YouTube channels without humans. So literally to replace this. So it's across the board. Thank you so much. Oh yeah, and don't forget, guys, you can always book a consult with me at SimoneRedwine.com. So here, that is SimoneRedwine.com, and it's down below as well, where you can book a consult with me, 30-minute consult anywhere in the nation to address your legal issues. All right, next up on the docket, y'all, is Cardi B, and then we're going to end with the Frost. So Cardi B, y'all. So many people guessed it, and boy, is it true. It says there's no such thing as bots to push artists, not necessarily real people. There is such a thing as bots to push artists and not necessarily real people liking the artist or the music. So what do we say about that? It's like the audience is AI also. Oh God, that is so true and very, very freaky. All right, so next up is on the docket, Cardi B. Cardi B confirms that yes, she is married and pregnant and having a baby with her boyfriend, Stefon Diggs. Now, obviously, Cardi B has been in the midst of divorce. She has been sick of Offset. Offset has been caught cheating a plethora of times. So this is not new. And very significantly, I'll never forget the one crash out that she had. It was around December. And this is when she was actually pregnant with Blossom, the current baby. And the gist of it was Offset was at his birthday celebration in Miami. Cardi B was not there. However, Cardi B's arch nemesis, a girl that goes by Jade, was at Offset's birthday. He either invited her or allowed her. Either way, it's a problem because Jade was actually the woman that Cardi B almost went to jail behind. Jade was the one where allegedly Cardi B actually took a plea deal, and she was alleged to have had other friends jump the girl because the girl was sleeping with Offset, that girl. And so Cardi B had this huge crash out that I cannot play because it's so curse word laden. But it seemed to be that was very much like the last straw that she had with Offset. Baby Blossom was born. I think they stayed together for a bit longer, but she has filed for the divorce. I've actually been looking for those divorce docs, and I think they pulled like a Tiana Taylor where she filed them under initials or not under her regular name. But the gist of it is they're pending a divorce, and the divorce has not been finalized. This baby is due in February. She's also supposed to be on tour. So that's going to be interesting to promote her new album that just came out actually last night. Well, what's also interesting is Georgia law. I'm being pregnant. Why are you trying to get a divorce? Georgia is not one of the few states that absolutely says you cannot get divorced while pregnant. Texas is one. But what does happen in Georgia is it's at the discretion of a judge. And some judges will wait. For example, they'll say, we'll finalize the divorce, but we are not going to finalize the parenting plan, child support, and all of that until the baby is born, just to do paternity tests, etc. Now, it's unclear whether or not Offset is going to want to confirm whether or not Stefon versus Offset is the dad. I'm assuming that they probably know good and well, like either when they stopped being intimate with each other. But Stefon is absolutely stepping up, saying it's his, this is his, he's excited. But Stefon allegedly has 2 other babies on the way. So Stefon has one child that was born in 2016. And then he also, here we are. And then he also has there was a new child that was born. She was born from an influencer. This air quote influencer person is, she's basically, she goes by like Lord Goddess. And this woman claims that her 5-month-old child is his. Back in December, she did file paternity paperwork, etc. And he has come out and he said he's not sure, but he filed paperwork saying if the child is his, he wants 50% custody and visitation. The mother asked, Lord Giselle, there you go. Thank you. The mother asked that she have 100% custody, that basically she completely control whether or not he can see the child, etc. But I think that it's fair that he says, I don't know that I'm the dad, and I ask that you confirm it. You guys weren't married. You were one of a plethora of women he was dealing with, and you probably weren't even in the same city because he plays in the NFL. So like where he lives during season versus off season changes. And so when it's long distance like that, and more importantly, when you guys are not married, especially if it's this boyfriend, girlfriend off and on, it's always wisest to do that, to get your paternity test and confirm. I say it keeps honest people honest. And very significantly as well is that nowadays you can get a paternity test while a woman is still pregnant with a child. You can do that. And it back in the day, they thought it was like putting some needle all the way up in the woman's hoo-ha. No, I have a friend actually, if anyone needs a referral, put in the comments below, hit that like, y'all, and the subscribe. I have a friend who actually owns a company that will do DNA testing while the mom is pregnant. They literally prick your arm, draw blood, and do it that way. I think it's fantastic because then that allows the dad to participate pre-birth, to participate at the birth, to begin to support the mom. So the mom doesn't have to handle all the medical stuff on her own. But again, Stefon allegedly has, so that's the child that was born, or where the child that's now 5 months old, where that mom is like, hey, he's the dad. And then there's supposed to be 2 other children that are going to be born in the same month that are also on their way. And then there's Cardi's baby that's to be born in February. That's a lot. Now, it's unclear how long Cardi and him have been dating. We just know how long we've been seeing them out and when they began to claim each other. It says him and his brother are something else. Oh, it's twins. Okay. It's someone, Sasha is saying he's supposed to be having twins from a woman in New York. Yeah, we can't find out much. All I saw was a tweet that says he has 2 additional babies aside from Cardi that are on the way. So it would make sense. I would sure hope that they be twins. Lord have mercy. Versus continuing to do this. But that's also like really nasty. Like, you better get that man all the way tested. So in this short span of time, he's got the child born in 2016. Then he's got we don't know if Lord Giselle's child is his, but that's in the process. And then there's supposed to be twins, and then there's Cardi B. Now, remember, there was a time about a month or two ago where it was alleged, it was right after Cardi B published that he had taken her to a castle because she said she'd always wanted to go to one and never been. And then right after that, she had deleted all her photos of him from her page. So I don't know if that was a breakup and then she found out she was pregnant or what. It says, so Steph was cheating on her if he has people currently pregnant right now. Not necessarily. It just depends on how pregnant these current women are, because there's no clear determination of when those babies would be due. So, but it is a hot different. Afra, you said it. I think what's most shocking to many of her fans is, we all really sympathize and empathize with her for the humiliation, the public cheating, etc., that Offset put her through. And it all boils down to a man who lacks self-control. But here, it seems like similarly, you got a man who lacks self-control. Even if these children came before you, the fact that he's a millionaire, multi-millionaire, and so carelessly making these babies is terrifying. So the stats show, let me see, I put it back up. This man, now he makes more than enough money to take all these kids. He signed a $69 million contract with the New England Patriots. And when he did that, the deal includes $26 million in guaranteed money. I can tell you this right now, though. The way he lives, the extravagance with which he lives, that $26 million will be spent in no time if it hasn't already. So he gets a total of $69 million over 3 years. 26 of that million is guaranteed. And it's got an average annual value of $23 million. And then there are some incentives that he gets for staying healthy and things like that. So I think because he's got the $69 million, women felt very comfortable, it appears, having unprotected sex with him. But here's the thing, money don't cure AIDS. Everybody don't get that Magic Johnson kind. It kind of like goes away. Like AIDS is for real. So this is all like I would say a hot, embarrassing mess. Stefon should be very embarrassed on how he has handled this. So it says, Purple Rain says, yeah, but women are always told to heal while men get to run the streets. Yep. Shay Boo says it was him and her on the boat with pink stuff. Oh, whoa. Now, don't know if she or him was doing it, but that was a bad look, especially for him. Ooh, Bree says, I think she doesn't care because he, quote, can afford them. Offset had multiples before they were married as well. That is very true. Somebody, Jamaica Sweet said, the ghetto. All right, so that's a wrap on this one. And we're going to go to our final case on the docket, which is the T Hood's case. We've been keeping up with that one. Here we are. And with T Hood, here we go. So T Hood, as well as Kirk Frost. So Rasheeda and Kirk Frost's son, Kai, was being investigated in the unaliving of Atlanta rapper T Hood. Well, the Gwinnett County Police Department have cleared him in the shooting, the son Kai. They are saying case closed, that they are closing the case and they are referring everything to the DA. Here's what they've said. It says T Hood, the T Hood fatal pow pow case is wrapping up on the police's end because cops believe the gunman, which is Kai, acted in self-defense. But he's not out of the woods yet because prosecutors could still charge him. This is true. So what happens is the cops basically do their report, create a summary, they give it to the DA, and the DA gets to make the final call. Now, usually what happens is police are saying, hey, you should charge them. And the DA is like, I don't see enough there. Come back with more evidence or whatever. It's very, very rare that police will say nothing to see here. And the DA will be like, yes, there it is. So it says first, a little refresher. He was pow-powed by Kai, who's the son of love and hip hop stars, Rasheeda and Kirk Frost. Now, if this happened at their residence, so the family has a compound in Georgia where there's like the main house that Kirk and Rasheeda live in, and then there's like these townhouses, and that's what the daughter who's there in this photo, Kelsey, on the left lives in, and one of them, a separate one, is where Kai lives. Now, my inside information has said that this incident actually happened outside, but on the walk up to the daughter Kelsey's townhouse. It says after weeks of investigating, the police conducted its probe and is finalizing the report sent to the DA, who's going to make the final call. But if you ask the cops, Kai should not face any charges because he acted in self-defense. A police spokesperson has said Tevin, that's T. Hood, was the primary aggressor that night, which kicked off with him starting a fight with Kai and pulling out a pow pow. Kai allegedly brandished his own pow pow, but was quicker on the draw, pow pow, and fatally pow pow Tevin. That's supposed to be how it happened. And the police spokesman said that Tevin had also been the aggressor in a previous DV incident with his girlfriend Kai's sister, and that was on that day. So on this these are screenshots of that incident. Let me clarify. This incident in the photo was not on that day. But what I'm saying is the day of the pow pow incident, earlier that day, there was a woman, police had been called because a woman had been abused and had been hit and injured earlier in the day as a result of an altercation with T. Hood. That woman's believed to be Kelsey. Now, what makes this super controversial, though, y'all, is the fact that he was, that T. Hood was pow pow. There were 6 pow pows, 2 in the front, 4 in the back. Now, it would be my guess that whenever the coroner did the autopsy, they may have seen that the first 2 were in the front. The first 2 pow pows were in the front, if they're able to, confirm the order in which they occurred, but that the first 2 were in the front and that the others in the back would have been when he's turning and running away. I said this on a prior episode because people were like, no, 4 shots. That's absolutely unacceptable. 4 shots to the back. That is, that's a crime. He should be prosecuted. But it's all about when you get the shots. Because if I hit you 2 times and you're still moving around, most people, common sense, if I'm facing you, right? Because I said it was a draw. He pulled it first and the other one, but then Kai shot first. If I'm facing you, the first thing I'm going to do is try to run off. And in doing so, then you're going to get my back. But also what was interesting is I could see how Hood could have pulled his weapon first because he was probably just trying to threaten him. He wasn't anticipating, he wasn't planning to use it. He thought, I'm just going to use this and I'm going to threaten him and I'm going to show it to him, not thinking, Kai, that this young man was going to be like, all right, well, I got something for you. And do that in not retaliation, but in response. So yeah, it does sound like, let's get those likes up, guys. We don't even have 100 likes yet. I know it's foggy. We've got over 226 watching, and let's get those likes up. But so overall, let me know in the comments, do you think that the fact that there are, and I'm going to talk about the civil suit potential, the fact that there were 4 shots in the back, should that be a crime? Should he be prosecuted for something? Maybe not the big M word, maybe something like a negligent form of like manslaughter or something like that. What are your thoughts? Also, I found it interesting as well that Kai lived on the premises too, because remember there was initially the claim by Hood's family that Kelsey called her brothers over to basically retaliate or to beat Hood up for having hurt her early in the day or for any reason whatsoever. And Kelsey was adamant, I didn't call them over. Well, now it makes sense. He lived there too. Her brothers lived there too. So that's why he was there. Yet they always say, don't pull a weapon unless you plan to use it for this exact reason, because someone else could have one and you not even expecting it. And then there we are in this type of situation. Now, what's also is really sad. So the family, I said the home is in Kentucky in Kai's name. It's his house. Interesting. Thank you for clarifying that. Okay. I wasn't aware of that. It says the proof that no one, you want to see proof no one lied to the cops. Well, that could be true too, but that's kind of hard to obtain. Well, the cops do that when they try to substantiate whatever was said. So they'll pull footage, security footage, and things like that as much as possible to do that. But the family is now seeking to pursue a civil lawsuit against the Kirks. What are your thoughts on that? So the interesting thing with civil is with civil, all you have to do is show a 51% likelihood. Basically, you just have to get a jury to believe with 51% or more that whatever the offense you're claiming was committed. So if you're going to do a civil, it would need to be negligent security. It would need to be something along those lines of negligence. And I just don't see that here. There's negligent security. Well, no, this is a homeowner on the premises. It's a resident on the premises who pulled a weapon against this young man. And the family will be able, like the fact that Hood had this long, drawn out, violent criminal record will absolutely be in evidence. Furthermore, a jury gets to decide in Georgia. They get to apportion faults. So if they feel like Hood was at least 50% responsible or more for what happened that night, even if they find that Kirk was the other 50% responsible, they don't get nothing. They don't get anything. Because under certain states' laws, there's something that's called basically that you attributed to your own damages. You attributed to your own injury. So I'm really not seeing here how they could successfully bring a wrongful death. So wrongful death would be the type of suit. But for wrongful death, you have to show what was it that was done wrong. Earlier that day, his sister's getting whooped on. Kai lives there. This guy has a history of doing that, and he pulls out a weapon on you. Would this be stand your ground? Yes, stand your ground was also applicable here because of the fact that Kai lives there, even though it was outside, because it was still, you are still allowed to stand your ground outdoors. Think of George Zimmerman, Trayvon Martin. George Zimmerman was literally just with outside, but in his HOA complex. It says, I hope that Frost's son can get some comfort. Yeah, this has to be pretty horrible. And I'm concerned that it may be dangerous for him in the community for people who feel like they need to avenge Hood's death. Now, I don't know to what extent that it would be the case, but it's always a concern. So let me know if you were on a jury, and this was, I'm talking now jury for a civil case where Hood's family is seeking civil money against Kai. Now, mind you, Kai's a grown boy. They'd have to sue Kai, not the parents, because these are grown parents here. They have to sue Kai. And more than that, it's going to be really hard to get a lawyer to take the case. I'm going to tell you why. Because number one, you got the risk that Hood will be found 50% liable or more, which means you walk away with nothing. But the bigger risk that us lawyers hate, is that there's no guarantee of payment. The reason a number of lawyers don't mind taking certain types of injury cases or even civil rights cases is because insurance policies guarantee the award if won in those cases, even the civil rights cases. So for civil rights cases, there is a special form of insurance that municipalities have that insures them when police officers use excessive force, and that's paid for by taxpayers. In auto accidents, of course, we know about that, but homeowners insurance policy even won't cover something like this. Homeowners is for dog bites. Homeowners is for, what's the other? It's for like dangerous conditions on your premises. So it could be a slip and fall. It could be dangerous steps. I had someone who fell on, they were like going down some steps and broke their back very severely. It's stuff like that. It's not two people using pals in what are deliberate acts. So yeah, that's the reality there. There's probably not going to be any way in which those people, the family of Hood specifically, would be able to obtain any money as a result of his passing, assuming that it was wrongful death. And more importantly, the other thing you always got to remember, y'all, I tell people all the time, if you have a child, if you have a baby daddy, just get you a basic will. You need a basic will. And that is because of the fact that with that will, if you don't have a will, when a suit like this comes up, so his baby mom, she would be the one who would get the settlement because he's leaving a minor child. His mother would get hardly any of it. She wouldn't be entitled to any of it because he doesn't take care, is not legally obligated to take care of his mom. He may do some things for her. The more she can prove that she was relying upon his income, the more of a chance that she has to have a percentage of that money. But without a will, the law says the majority of the money is going to go to the support of minor children who have lost a parent that, if they were still alive, would take care of them. But of course, the way, though, that you can prevent that is with a will. So that will could say, if I pass away, any type of wrongful death, money needs to all go to my mama. Someone said estate planning basics. So yes, do watch from the beginning. For those that are joining right now, don't forget, you can always go to SimoneRedwine.com to book a consultation with me. And y'all, before we go, this was so wild. I have to share this with you. How interesting. Social media users realize Charlie Kirk and George Floyd shared the same birthday. That is freaky. That is freaky. Funky Dine even says, the Haitian Letty strikes again. I don't know what that means. It says, and the reason people know this in part, or it became alert today, is because today the Senate passed a National Day of Remembrance for Charlie Kirk on his birthday, which is October 14th. Wow. And people have been comparing the way that people celebrated Floyd's death to the accusations of celebration for Kirk's death. And I have to say, more than anything, much of what the right are calling celebrations are simply disagreements. I have never celebrated his passing. I do not earn anything. I do not benefit from this man's passing. It is not of joy to me. Celebration is what we saw back in the day when there would be lynchings and, people that look like this were in photos with their kids doing the thumbs up underneath the hanging person. That's what a celebration looked like. But to say, different comments that you've heard were effectively people were expressing their sentiment on the speech and labeling it hate speech, that's not a celebration. But I think the reason why so many on the right see it as that, because that was exactly what they did do when George Floyd passed away. So on that note, I want to leave you guys with this quick little graphic, and you tell me if this looks like celebration to you or not. Hold on, I got it right here. We're going to add it, this little image file. I found this. I dug this one up for you guys because I just missed you guys so much. And you guys, I've been dealing with some health stuff. I have been struggling so hard. So I appreciate your patience. Oh, it's not on this one. Must be on my other phone. But it was, here we go. Here we are. Miss Laura Loomer. She is really something else. Here we are. Let me show you. Where'd it go? I have it on Laura Loomer. Miss Laura Loomer had a very interesting comment. There you go. Okay, I must have passed that. But it is, let me pull it up. I'm going to read it to you. This was Laura's tweet, because this is on a different phone. Oh, Laura Loomer. Lord's not through with her yet. We'll say that. Give me this thing. She tweeted, quote, get this off my face. Laura Loomer says, I'm happy to see Joe Biden suffering. She says, oh, actually, let me Google it. We need to put this on the screen. Here we are. Put it. Because because they like to say that we are making up stuff, and that she didn't say some of the things that she said. Is this it? No. I'm going to put this right up on the screen. There we go. I'm not playing with this lady today at all. Here we are. Boom. She says, this is what Miss Laura has said. She said, I am happy. This is when Biden announced that he had cancer. I am happy to see Joe Biden suffering. It makes me happy to know he's going to have a terrible time in his final days in office. I'm happy his wife gets to watch him rot away like the trash pile he is and has always been. Today was very satisfying for me. Don't ever forget what Joe Biden and his enablers took away from us. Joe Biden doesn't deserve any sympathy. He is a twisted, sick old man, and that's how he will be remembered when he's gone. This poster said moral consistency means celebrating Laura Loomer's right to say unkind things about Joe Biden while not having an absolute freak out over people doing the exact same thing about Charlie. And on that note, we're going to conclude today's live. Hit that like, guys, on your way out. I appreciate you guys for joining. I'm your legal bestie, Attorney Simone. Drop below what other topics you want me to cover in upcoming episodes. Thank you. Bye, y'all.